Hi, my name is Garrett Woldridge, and today, for my oral presentation 3, I'm going to be talking about the Permian Period. The Permian Period occurred from about 299 million years ago to about 251 million years ago, and it was the last period of the Paleozoic era. It followed the Carboniferous period and preceded the Triassic period. The types of life that were during the Permian era life changed a lot during the Permian era. For as far as plants go, there was large forests with fern-like plants, which shifted to gymnosperms. Gymnosperms are plants with offspring enclosed within seeds. The most familiar types are modern-day conifers. Little is known about the marine life, as limited fossils have been found in the Panthalassic Ocean, which was the one big ocean that was during this period. There was a Pangea, which is one big land, and then there's the Panthalassic Ocean, which is basically just one big ocean. Fossils in the shallower coastal waters provide evidence that there were vast and diverse reef systems with sponge and coral species. During the Permian period, bony fish began to appear, as well as sharks and rays in the ocean. Arthropods continued to diversify during the Permian period, as bugs began to develop modified mouthparts to evolve for a more diverse environment. There were two types of land animals during the Permian period: synapsids and sauropsids. Synapsids developed into modern-day mammals as they had a single temporal opening in their skulls. The biggest example of synapsid is the apex predator Dimetron, with a lizard-like body and one big sail fin on its back. But it had jaws and teeth similar to today's mammals. Later on in the Permian period, the land animals began to develop closer and closer to mammals. Sauropsids had two skull openings and developed into reptiles, dinosaurs, and birds. At the end of the Permian period, there was a mass extinction, which led to the largest extinction in Earth's history, which led to the extinction of 90% of the marine animals and upwards of 70% of the land animals, as well as the most plants. Some survived but never reclaimed the numbers that they had during the Permian era. After this extinction, reptiles began to take over the Earth, and the age of dinosaurs began in the Mesozoic era. A little about the tectonic history. There was massive areas of land and water. As I said earlier, there was one big Pangea, which is, all the continents were just into one, as all the plates are moving closer together at first. Before this happened, though, before they collided, there were three continents: the Paleozoic, the Gondwana, and Euramerica, and these three continents collided into one. It was shaped like a thickened letter C. The top of the C was what later became Europe and Asia. The curved part of the sea became the Americas, with the inside part of the sea becoming Africa, and the bottom became India, Australia, and Antarctica. Only Asia was broken up at the time, which stretched from the North Pole to the South Pole. There was, as I said earlier, there was one single ocean, Pathalassa, I think is how it's pronounced. There was also a smaller sea to the east of the Pangea called the Tethys. Okay, for the climate, the interior regions of the continent were dry. The climate fluctuated drastically from season to season because of a lack of close water to moderate the temperature. We have in today's society or in modern day life, our climate isn't as drastic as this because water is never too far away. Just like Kansas, we have some of the most drastic weather and some of the most diverse weather in America because we're the farthest away from the oceans. That's how it works. If you're closer to oceans, you have more constant weather. Only a small portion of the interior experienced rainfall during the year during the Permian era. And they saw a gradual warming of the climate as the polar regions, the southern ice caps, and glaciers melted as the interior became drier. And the polar regions were barren tundras at the time. So what research has been has been done to discover this. They've examined fossils everywhere. You can tell where certain animals were, or where how long, using carbon dating you can tell how long ago they were there. So they can, yeah. So that's how they know what type of life was around. As far as where the plates were, they scientists can tell. Well, geologists can tell where the plates were by a couple different methods. One would be, just looking at a map and putting the continents together like a jigsaw puzzle. You can tell where which continents fit together based on that. You can compare fossils found on different continents. If you see, this type of fossil was found in Asia, on the east side of Asia, and this fossil was found on the west side of the Americas, you can kind of piece together that these were eventually, at one point, were together. You can compare the geothermal activities on different continents, volcanic activity, and if they have similar geothermal activity, then they were most likely together at some point. You can also compare the mountain ranges and other geological features. If you can see that one mountain range goes off to the east, and on another continent it comes from the west, then you can piece together that these were once together. All right, well, that's pretty much everything there is to know about the Permian period. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you for oral presentation 4.